What's up? Matt from Urchfab. It's going to be part 42 on the mongrel build. So, been a little while, but I have now got seat, boss for the steering wheel, and I've got hydraulic handbrake, so I can now pretty much finish all the fab work on the inside of the car. So let's get on with it. Alright, so this is my seat, Kirky race seat, and I've got a nice cover to go over the top of it as well. I've currently got it bolted to the existing rails so I can slide it forward, find the position I want, and then I'll probably actually weld it solid once it's where it needs to be, because it's supposed to have a support behind the head, which will connect to the harness bar here in the cage. So once that's in, I can do the harness bar, make a mount for that. I could leave the sliders in and just have like some kind of slip joint bolt on fixing at the back, but once the seat's in position, there's no need for it to be able to slide, and it's better in my opinion without it. And I've re-bent these seat mounts to move the seat as far that way as possible. The other thing that's weird in these cars is the pedals are really far over to the right. You sit quite tight to the tunnel, but your pedals are over this side. So I'm just going to re-bend the pedals to bring them over more in line with how I would want it to be. I need to bolt the subframe in, stick the rack in, and then connect all the steering column up, and then I can just make a mount off that. Get the steering wheel sat where it needs to be. Got a nice hydraulic handbrake. And I just made this little plate shaped to the same sort of shape as the tunnel. So once the steering wheel and column's in, I'll set this up to where I want it to be. I was going to bolt it through this plate, but I think what I'm actually going to do is just weld it straight to the plate, and then this can all be, take all this off, and then this can just be painted when the inside of the car gets painted, and then it saves having to bolt something else on. And I can just bolt the handle in, bolt the cylinder on after it's been painted. I think it'll look cool as well. Alright, so I've just bought this MX5 Boss. This feels ridiculously light. It's very thin wool cast aluminium. If you compare that to what's on the Escort, where I just took this steering wheel off, where the Boss is made from a big chunk. I'm all for weight saving, but not at the expense of the steering wheel breaking off in my hands. I'm probably going to have a snap-off Boss anyway. I'll use this to get everything where we need it, and I didn't want to order a steering wheel until I know the spacing, so I just robbed this one out of the Escort. Next thing I'm going to do is just cut away some of this bracket that I don't need. I'll cut this bit off and then just trim down this little piece. So these will just be 2 tabs. Make a plate that will come off here, go up to the cage, and then I need to just cut and angle these a little bit to allow these to move, because my steering wheel needs to be a little bit higher than it was sat in the MX5. These will bolt into the existing positions, but I'll actually be able to just bend that up a little bit, and then when I find the position that I want, I'll just weld that back in. Right, I've started bending some of my pedals about, so you can see that one was obviously bent that way, and the way this is curved in, so these are just welded on at the back there, so I can just cut the welds and reposition these once I've got the pedals exactly where I want them to be. I'll probably move that over maybe 2 inches. We'll get all the pedals bolted in, and then the steering column actually bolts to these mounts on the back of the pedals. Done the same with the brake. This one kicked over that way. I've just kicked it the other way. So then all we've got to do is just put a piece of tube from there down to here. And I'll probably just put some little strengthening plates in there. That feels good. It's a nice seating position. I just can't understand why they put the pedals so far that way. It feels so much more in line when you move them over. And there's room to do it, so that's a bit of a baffler. So I need a piece of tube, 160, notch that end, bit of an angle that end, bosh, done. Got a little mod for the chop saw, thanks to Julian Fack, one of the viewers, who said stick a bit of grip tape on the jaws when you're doing tube, and it'll stop it slipping and mullering the blades. Yeah, that works a treat. What happens is this, you start cutting, if it's at a bit of an angle, this slips and then it just rips all the carbide teeth off the blade. I haven't even really got that done out tight, and that's what gripping. There's no way that'll turn. So, cheers Julian, great idea. Before I fully weld that in, we'll get the padding in, sit in again, check it. This just like poppers on to the that feels perfect. And the seat's nice and comfy. It's so much easier because you can work on the car with the seat in it, not worry about damaging the seat cover. And then just put the cover on when you're finished. So that's my steering column done. I will weld the backs of that. Once I've got the car, I'll tip the car up on its side and I can sort of stand up straight in the doorway and weld the back of that rather than trying to struggle doing it, crawling underneath. Didn't really need those, would have been perfectly strong enough as it was, but more of a visual thing really. I'm not going to have any dash in here, so yeah, it ain't going to fall off, that's for sure. Next thing I'm going to do is get the hydro in place. So I've got this, there's the cover that goes on top, and then I just stuck this gator thing over it to give me a rough idea where the gear stick's going to be. I can always cut and move the gear stick to a better position if I'm not happy with it anyway. So that plate there, just going to butt up to the edge of that, just enough room to sort of weld it on. Sweet. I'm happy with that. That's mint driving position. Little mistake I quite often see people do when they mount like a long hydraulic handbrake is they mount it like sort of parallel with the seating position. Like if you drew a line straight down the centre of the car, they'll mount it dead straight. What you actually want to do is you want to pull the lever back, and the lever should be pointing at your shoulder, so it's going to be like angled in towards you. Because if you mount them straight, you end up bending it when you're pulling it all the time, because you're like pulling it over to yourself. Whereas if you mount it a little bit on the piss, when I pull that straight back, the force is straight on it instead of on an angle, and you might end up like bending your hydro. So I got my brake and clutch where I want them. Maybe move the brake over a little bit more. I'll show you the problem we got with the throttle pedal, but that's going to be a job for tomorrow. So you can see the original position of the throttle pedal is way too close to the cage, but that's, I can just bend that out of the way. But then up here, I don't know if you can really see it, but that there is where the throttle cable comes through. I can't bend it out this way because the servo is right behind there. So what I'm going to have to do is extend this over and come the other side of here and go out through there, and bring the throttle cable in through that side. But all I'm doing for today is that. Columns in, seats in, sorted. Alright, that is all I got for this one. I'm straight back on it again tomorrow, so hopefully should have another upload for you Friday, maybe Saturday. But good day on it today. It's good to get that column sorted and on everything mounted in the right position. There's only a couple more things to do in the car, harness bar and that seat mount at the back, and then sort the pedals out, and then that's everything on the inside done. It's everything on the floor is welded now, so I could potentially get all the underside coated. But yeah, that's it for this one. Cheers for watching. See you on the next one.